The massive crystal dome of the Galactic Council stretched high above the gathered representatives, its walls pulsing with soft blue light that had witnessed 10,000 years of galactic history. Elder Vextar, his ancient form draped in ceremonial robes that shimmered like starlight, raised his staff to call the emergency session to order. The sound echoed through the chamber like the tolling of a cosmic bell around the central holographic projector. 12 distinct alien species took their positions. Each race represented millions of years of evolution, countless worlds, and civilizations that had risen and fallen before humanity had even learned to make fire. The Zephyrians, with their crystalline bodies that sang in harmonious tones. Vorthok, whose multiple eyes could see across dimensions. The peaceful Milani, whose empathic abilities allowed them to feel the emotions of entire star systems. All of them now focused on a single, primitive blue marble spinning slowly in the holographic display. "Brothers and sisters of the Council," Vextar began, his voice carrying the weight of ages. "The moment we have both feared and awaited has arrived. The 13th species has awakened." A ripple of unease passed through the assembly. Some representatives shifted in their seats, while others remained perfectly still, their alien features betraying nothing of their inner turmoil. The prophecy had been carved into the very foundation stones of their civilization, passed down through generations, studied by scholars, and feared by warriors. "Show us the signs," requested Counselor Nethra, her voice like wind chimes in a gentle breeze. Her species, the ethereal, had been the first to discover the ancient prophecy buried in the ruins of a dead civilization on the galaxy's edge. The holographic display shifted, zooming in on Earth's solar system. Suddenly, a bright flash appeared near the third planet, and a small object shot away from it at impossible speed, tearing through the fabric of space-time itself. The assembled council members watched in stunned silence as the primitive vessel achieved what many of their own civilizations had taken millennia to accomplish. "They have broken the light barrier," Vextar confirmed. "Their first faster-than-light probe has crossed into our detection grid. The ancient warning systems have been triggered." On the distant world called Earth, Commander Jinho Park stood before a wall of monitors in the Sol Space Command Center. The facility buzzed with activity as hundreds of technicians and scientists worked at their stations, their faces illuminated by the glow of computer screens. Jinho had spent his entire career preparing for this moment, but now that it had arrived, he felt a mixture of pride and uncertainty. "Quantum tunnel stability is holding at 97%, reported Dr. Yuna Kim, her fingers dancing across the control panel. She had been Jinho's closest friend since their days at the Korean Space Academy, and her excitement was contagious. "All systems are green. Probe is maintaining course and speed." Jinho nodded, watching as the small dot representing their probe disappeared from the tracking display. Somewhere out there, beyond the edge of their solar system, humanity's first messenger to the stars was carrying their hopes and dreams into the unknown. The probe contained digital records of human culture, scientific achievements, and peaceful intentions. It was meant to be a greeting card to any intelligent life they might encounter. "We did it, Jinho," Yuna whispered, her voice filled with wonder. "We actually did it." But neither of them knew that their achievement had already been detected by technologies beyond their understanding. Across the galaxy, ancient sensors that had waited in silence for 10,000 years suddenly came alive, sending urgent signals to the Galactic Council. The 13th species had finally emerged from their isolated corner of the universe. Back in the council chambers, the debate had begun. Some representatives argued for immediate contact, believing that any species capable of faster-than-light travel deserved recognition. Others called for caution, suggesting they observe these newcomers before making any decisions. But a growing faction, led by the militant purists, demanded preemptive action. "The prophecy is clear," declared War Commander Kethver, his scarred face twisted with conviction. "When the children of the violent star emerge, they shall bring balance through chaos, writing their destiny in blood across the cosmos. This speaks of destruction, not peace." Elder Vextar studied the holographic display showing Earth's history. The planet's surface told a story of constant conflict, wars, conquests, and violence that had shaped the species throughout their evolution. Cities rose and fell. Empires expanded and collapsed. The electromagnetic spectrum around Earth was filled with broadcasts of their conflicts, their entertainment celebrating warriors and battles. "They are indeed children of violence," murmured Counselor Nethra. But the prophecy also speaks of balance. Perhaps their violence serves a purpose we do not yet understand. The debate continued through the night cycle, but no decision was reached. The Galactic Council, which had maintained peace for centuries, found itself divided for the first time in living memory. Some wanted to welcome humanity into the galactic community. Others wanted to test them first. And a few believed the only safe course was to eliminate the threat before it could grow. As the session ended, Elder Vextar remained in the chamber. Staring at the image of Earth, the prophecy had been their guide for so long. But now that it was beginning to unfold, he wondered if they truly understood what it meant. The children of the violent star had awakened, and the galaxy would never be the same. The morning sun cast long shadows across the asteroid tracking station in Seoul when Lieutenant Dong Jun Lee noticed something that made his blood run cold. The massive space rock on his screen, bigger than 3 football stadiums, was moving in a way that defied all natural laws. He had been watching asteroids for 8 years, but this one was different. Very different. "Hai-Jin, come look at this," he called to his partner, trying to keep his voice steady. Analyst Hai-Jin Moon rolled her chair over to his workstation, her coffee mug still steaming in her hands. "What is it?" she asked, then stopped when she saw the display. The asteroid, designated KT-7, was not just heading toward Earth. It was heading directly toward Earth, like someone had aimed a giant stone at their planet. "Sir, the trajectory calculations don't make sense," Hai-Jin reported, her fingers flying over the keyboard as she ran the numbers again and again. "It's like something pushed it toward us. This isn't natural orbital mechanics." Dongjun stared at the screen, his heart pounding. The rock was 3 kilometers wide and moving at incredible speed. If it hit Earth, it would be like 1,000 nuclear bombs exploding at once. Cities would be destroyed, millions would die. But what scared him most was that the asteroid seemed to have changed course deliberately, high above Earth's atmosphere. Invisible to human sensors, alien probes hung in space like silent watchers. Their advanced technology recorded every human transmission, every emergency meeting, every panicked conversation. The Galactic Council had decided to test humanity, and this was their first trial. They wanted to see what these violent children would do when faced with extinction in the council chambers. Representatives from 12 alien civilizations watched the events unfold on their holographic displays. War Commander Kethfer leaned forward in his seat, his scarred face showing satisfaction. "Now, we will see their true nature," he said. "When faced with death, they will turn on each other like wild animals. The prophecy warned us of their violence." But Elder Vextar remained silent, his ancient eyes focused on the human response. Something about their behavior puzzled him. Instead of the chaos he expected, he saw something else entirely. Within hours of the asteroid's detection, Dr. Taemin Sho found himself in charge of the largest international project in human history. The Korean scientists stood in the Global Crisis Center in Geneva, surrounded by screens showing faces from every corner of the world. Scientists from America, Russia, China, India, Japan, and dozens of other countries looked back at him with the same expression of determination. "We have 72 hours, Taemin announced to the global team. His voice was calm, but his hands shook slightly as he spoke. "Failure isn't an option. We need to deflect this asteroid, or everyone we love will die." The aliens watching from their hidden probes expected to see humanity tear itself apart. They had studied Earth's history of wars, conflicts, and competition. Surely, when faced with extinction, the humans would fight over resources, blame each other, and waste precious time in arguments. Instead, something remarkable happened. Within minutes of Taemin's announcement, countries began sharing their most secret technologies. The Americans offered their nuclear weapons, Russians provided their most powerful rockets. The Chinese shared their precision guidance systems. The Europeans opened their manufacturing facilities. Every nation contributed something. No one asked for payment or promises in return. Dr. Sarah Chen in California worked alongside Dr. Vladimir Petrov in Moscow. Korean engineer Park Min-ho collaborated with Indian physicist Dr. Priya Sharma, designing rocket modifications that neither could have created alone. Language barriers disappeared as scientists communicated through the universal language of mathematics and diagrams. The deflection plan is coming together, reported Dr. Elena Rodriguez from the Madrid Command Center. We're going to attach 12 nuclear-powered thrusters to the asteroid's surface. If we can change its speed by just a few meters per second, it will miss Earth completely. The execution of the plan required perfect timing. Rockets launched from 4 different continents, each carrying specialized equipment. The first team, led by Commander Yuki Tanaka from Japan, successfully landed on the asteroid's surface. The second team, commanded by Captain Maria Santos from Brazil, attached the nuclear thrusters. The third team, under the direction of Major Ahmed Hassan from Egypt, activated the guidance systems. In the alien probes, sophisticated sensors recorded every moment. The watching council members saw something they had never witnessed before in their long history of galactic observation. A species that had spent thousands of years fighting each other was now working together as one unified organism. Violence had not disappeared, but it had been redirected toward a common enemy, the asteroid that threatened their world. Thruster ignition in 10 seconds, announced Dr. Taman as the world held its breath. 5.4.3.2. Ignition. The asteroid's course shifted by exactly the amount needed. The massive rock that would have ended human civilization sailed harmlessly past Earth, missing the planet by just 50,000 kilometers. In the council chambers, War Commander Kethfer sat in stunned silence. The humans had not fought each other. They had not panicked. They had not shown the destructive violence the prophecy warned about. Instead, they had shown something the aliens had never expected to see. They should have fractured under pressure, muttered Counselor Nethra, her voice filled with confusion. The prophecy speaks of their violence. Where was their chaos? But Elder Vextar studied the humans' actions with growing interest, his ancient mind beginning to understand something profound. Perhaps we misunderstood what violence means, he said quietly. Perhaps their violence is not about destroying others, but about protecting what they love. The tension in the Galactic Council chambers had been building for weeks. Elder Vextar watched with growing concern as the representatives split into 2 clear groups. On one side stood the peacekeepers, who believed the humans had proven themselves worthy of contact. On the other side, the purists grew more aggressive each day, led by the scarred War Commander Kethfer. They passed one test, Kethfer argued, his voice echoing through the crystal dome. But the prophecy is clear. These violent children will bring chaos to our galaxy. We must act before they grow stronger. The debate had raged for days, but no agreement could be reached. The council, which had maintained peace for centuries, found itself divided for the first time in living memory. Some wanted to welcome humanity. Others wanted to test them further. But Kethfer and his followers had made their decision. We will not wait for the prophecy to destroy us, he declared, storming out of the chamber with his supporters. If the council will not act, then we will. 3 days later, Captain Minzu Yang was conducting a routine patrol around Luna Base when his sensors detected something impossible. Ships appeared from nowhere, their sleek black holes unlike anything in human records. They moved with deadly grace, positioning themselves around the lunar colony like predators surrounding prey. All stations, this is Luna Base, Minsu announced over the communication system. His voice steady, despite the fear in his heart. We are under attack by unknown vessels. Repeat, we are under attack. The alien ships opened fire without warning. Brilliant beams of energy tore through the lunar station's outer hull, sending debris spinning into the void. The human defenders scrambled to their positions, but their weapons seemed primitive compared to the alien technology, Commander Jinwoo Park The station's military leader coordinated the defense from the command center. Return fire. All available. Units engaged the enemy. The battle was swift and brutal. The human ships were outgunned and outnumbered, but they fought with desperate courage. Pilot Yoon-Hai Kim rammed her damaged fighter into an alien vessel, sacrificing herself to save the civilian quarters. Engineer Dong Hwan Lee stayed at his post to maintain the station's power. Even as the section around him caught fire, 17 humans died in the first assault, but the aliens had made a critical error. 3 of their ships were damaged, and when they crashed into the lunar surface, their crews survived. Human rescue teams reached the crash sites first, pulling the wounded aliens from the wreckage. Dr. So-young Park, the base's chief medical officer, found herself face-to-face with the enemy for the first time. The alien in front of her was unlike anything she had imagined. Its skin was a deep blue color, and it had 4 arms and large, intelligent eyes. It was clearly in pain, with strange purple blood flowing from wounds across its body. "Doctor, what are you doing?" asked Security Chief Hyun-Jae Kim, his weapon pointed at the alien. "These things just killed our people. They're sentient beings," So-young replied, already reaching for her medical supplies. "We don't abandon the wounded, no matter who they are." The alien prisoner watched in shock as the human doctor began treating its wounds. It had expected torture, interrogation, or execution. Instead, this small human female was working to save its life. The alien's translator device allowed it to understand her words, but her actions made no sense according to everything it had been taught about human violence. "You ... help enemy?" the alien asked in broken English, its voice filled with confusion. "Not my enemy right now," So-young replied, carefully cleaning the alien's wounds. "Right now, you're my patient." The battle continued to rage around the lunar base, but something extraordinary was happening in the medical bay. 2 more wounded aliens were brought in. Dr. So-young Park treated them all with the same care she would give to human patients. Her medical staff, initially reluctant, began to help when they saw the aliens' grateful responses. Captain Min-soo Young faced an impossible decision when the alien ships began targeting the civilian mining complex. Hundreds of workers were trapped in the tunnels, including the 3 alien prisoners who were too wounded to move. "Sir, we need to evacuate the civilians," reported Lieutenant Junho Kim. "But the alien prisoners slow us down. We could save more people if we left them behind." Min-soo looked at the wounded aliens, then at his own injured crew members. The decision should have been easy. Save his own people first. Leave the enemies behind. That was what any reasonable military commander would do. "We carry them all," he decided. "No one gets left behind." The evacuation was a nightmare of twisted metal and emergency lighting. Human soldiers carried their wounded comrades through the damaged corridors, while others lifted the alien prisoners on stretchers, and falling debris blocked the main corridor. Sergeant Eugene Park stayed behind to hold up a collapsing beam, allowing both humans and aliens to escape. High above the lunar surface, the invisible alien probes recorded everything. In the council chambers, the watching representatives saw something that changed their understanding of the prophecy forever. The humans were not abandoning their enemies. They were not showing the cruel violence the prophecy warned about. Instead, they were risking their own lives to save the very beings who had attacked them. "This is impossible," muttered War Commander Kethfer from his command ship. "They should hate us. They should want revenge." But Elder Vextar, watching from the council chambers, finally understood the truth. "The prophecy didn't warn us about them," he whispered to Counselor Nethra. "It warned us about ourselves. We are the ones bringing chaos. We are the ones choosing violence." The battle for Luna Base ended with a human victory, but it was unlike any victory in galactic history. The humans had won through courage and sacrifice, but they had also shown mercy to their enemies. The 3 alien prisoners, now recovering under Dr. So-young Park's care, would carry this story back to their people. The galaxy would never be the same. The war that followed the attack on Luna Base spread across the galaxy like wildfire. What had started as a preemptive strike by the Purist faction quickly escalated into a full-scale conflict that would test the very foundations of galactic civilization. On the bridge of the UES Taegukji, Earth's first interstellar warship, Admiral Woojin Kim stood before the main view screen, watching enemy ships approach through the darkness of space. The Taiguchi was humanity's greatest technological achievement. Built in secret during the months following first contact, its hull gleamed with advanced armor plating, and its weapon systems represented the best of human engineering. But Admiral Kim knew that even their most advanced ship was no match for the alien technology arrayed against them. "Sir, enemy fleet approaching from 3 directions," reported Commander Yunji Seo, her fingers dancing across the tactical display. 12 heavy cruisers, 8 destroyers, and what appears to be a command ship. They have superior technology, Kim acknowledged, his weathered face showing the strain of months of constant battle. But they fight like they've never faced real opposition. The aliens had weapons that could tear through human shields like paper, and their ships moved with impossible speed and grace. But humanity had something the aliens lacked. 10,000 years of warfare had taught them that victory often required sacrifice. Every human commander understood that sometimes you had to lose a battle to win a war. The first engagement near Mars had shocked the alien forces. When their superior numbers surrounded the human fleet, they expected a quick surrender. Instead, the human ships fought with desperate creativity, using tactics that seemed insane to the alien mind. Captain Sung-Ho Lee rammed his damaged cruiser into an alien flagship, destroying both ships, but creating an opening for his squadron to escape. Lieutenant Min-Young Kim piloted her fighter directly into an alien weapon battery, disabling their main guns at the cost of her own life. But it was the battle at the human colony on Kepler 442b that truly changed everything. The planet was home. 50,000 human settlers who had traveled 23 light-years to build a new life among the stars. When the alien fleet arrived to destroy the colony, they found something unexpected waiting for them. Colony Administrator Hyen-Woo Park had been a soldier before becoming a civilian leader. He understood warfare, but he also understood something. More important, he understood humanity's true strength. When the alien ships began their bombardment, he made a decision that would echo throughout galactic history. "All colonists, this is Administrator Park," he announced over the colony's communication system. "We have alien civilians trapped in the crossfire. They were on a trade mission when the war began. We will not abandon them." The alien traders had been negotiating a peaceful exchange of resources when the Purist fleet arrived. Caught between their own people's weapons and the human colony, they expected to be used as human shields or left to die. Instead, they watched in amazement as the human colonists formed a protective circle around them. Nurse. The Jin Han had been working in the colony's medical center when the bombing began. As wounded people began arriving, she noticed something that made her stop and stare. Some of the injured were not human. They were aliens, the same species that was currently trying to destroy her home. "Ma'am, those are enemy aliens," said medical technician Jongmin Park, pointing at the wounded creatures. "Should we treat them?" The Jin looked at the aliens, then at her own wounded people. The choice should have been simple. Save her own kind. First, let the enemy suffer. But as she looked into the alien's large, frightened eyes, she saw something that transcended species. She saw pain, fear, and a desperate desire to live. "They're patients," she said simply, moving to treat the alien's wounds. "We treat all patients." For the next 6 hours, as the battle raged overhead, the Geen moved between human and alien wounded with equal care. Hands became stained with both red human blood and the purple blood of the aliens, but she never stopped working. When falling debris threatened the medical center, human soldiers risked their lives to shield both human and alien patients. The scene was being broadcast across the galaxy by news drones that had arrived to cover the battle. In the council chambers, Elder Vextar watched with growing understanding as the events unfolded. The prophecy had spoken of children who would write their destiny in blood across the cosmos, but he had misunderstood its meaning. This is what the prophecy meant, he realized, his ancient voice filled with wonder. They write their destiny in blood, not through conquest, but through sacrifice. The images spread throughout the galaxy at the speed of light. Alien populations on dozens of worlds watched in shock as humans died to protect their enemies.
When
A human medic named Dr. Taeho Kim was killed by falling debris while shielding an alien child. The alien's grateful family broadcast their thanks across their homeworld's communication networks. The tide of war began to turn, but not through military might. Across the galaxy, alien civilians began to question their leader's decision to wage war against humanity. Protests broke out on 7 worlds. 3 alien colonies declared themselves neutral. The purist faction found their support crumbling, as their own people watched humans display the kind of moral courage they had never seen before. On the bridge of the Taeyag-ji, Admiral Kim received reports from across the battle zone. The aliens were beginning to retreat, but not because they were defeated. They were retreating because they no longer understood who they were fighting or why. The humans had won something far more valuable than a military victory. They had won the respect and admiration of the galaxy itself. The final battle of the war was about to begin in the most sacred place in the galaxy, the ancient council chambers. Built from crystalline materials that had witnessed 10,000 years of galactic history, now trembled under the weight of approaching fleets. General Junho Lim stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching as the last ships of the purist faction took defensive positions around the massive structure. His fleet outnumbered the enemy 3-1. The humans had gained powerful allies during the war, as 6 different alien species had joined their cause after witnessing humanity's actions on dozens of battlefields. The Zephyrians, with their crystal ships that sang in battle, the peaceful Milani, who had never fought a war before but could not stand by while innocents suffered. Even some members of the warrior Vorthok had abandoned their own people to fight alongside the humans. "We have them surrounded," reported his tactical officer, Commander Haewon Park. "We can destroy their entire fleet within minutes." Junho studied the display showing the enemy positions. War Commander Kethfer had made his final stand here, in the heart of galactic civilization. The purist leader had nowhere left to run, and his forces were desperate. They would fight to the death rather than surrender. But General Lim had not come this far to add more death to the galaxy's suffering. Instead of giving the order to attack, he did something that shocked both his own officers and the watching enemy. He opened a communication channel to the entire galaxy. "This is General Lim of the Earth Defense Force," he announced, his voice carrying across space to every world, every station, every ship in the galaxy. "We offer terms of peace." The silence that followed was deafening. In the council chambers, below, Elder Vextar and the remaining council members watched in amazement. The humans had won the war. They had the power to destroy their enemies completely. But instead of taking revenge, they were offering mercy. Dr. Sujin Kim, who had become humanity's first galactic ambassador during the war, stood in the great assembly hall of the council chambers. Behind her, representatives from 6 alien species who had allied with Earth watched as she prepared to speak. She had been a simple research scientist before the war, but the conflict had changed her, just as it had changed the entire galaxy. "Honored members of the Galactic Council," she began, her voice clear and strong despite the magnitude of the moment. "We stand here today not as conquerors, but as beings who have learned the true meaning of an ancient prophecy." The assembled representatives listened in complete silence. Some had fought against humanity. Others had joined them. All had been changed by what they had witnessed during the long months of war. "The prophecy spoke of balance through chaos," Sujin continued. "But chaos doesn't mean destruction. It means change. We didn't come to conquer your worlds or rule your people. We came to protect those who cannot protect themselves." As she spoke, something extraordinary began to happen. The ancient prophecy stones that formed the foundation of the council chambers began to glow with a soft, pulsing light. These massive crystals had been carved by the first galactic civilization millions of years ago, and they contained the complete text of the prophecy that had guided the council for so long. "Elder," Vextar gasped as new words appeared on the stones, text that had been hidden for millennia behind layers of crystalline growth. The prophecy they had known was only the beginning. The complete version revealed a truth that changed everything. "The full prophecy," Vextar whispered, reading the ancient text aloud. when the children of the violent star emerge, they shall bring balance through chaos, writing their destiny in blood across the cosmos, not as conquerors, but as guardians of peace. The revelation sent shockwaves through the assembled representatives. The prophecy had not been a warning about destruction. It had been a promise of salvation. The violence they had feared was not the violence of conquest, but the violence of protection, the willingness to fight and die for others, even for strangers and enemies. War Commander Kethfer, listening from his command ship, felt his certainty crumble. Everything he had believed, everything he had fought for, had been based on a misunderstanding. The humans were not the destroyers he had feared. They were the protectors the galaxy had been waiting for. The war ended not with a battle, but with a surrender. Kethfer's fleet powered down their weapons and accepted the human terms of peace. The purest faction disbanded, their members either joining the new Galactic Alliance or returning to their homeworlds in shame. 5 years later, the prophecy's true meaning had become clear to everyone in the galaxy. Commander Young-Ho Park stood on the bridge of the rescue ship, New Hope, watching as human and alien crews worked side by side to save lives on a world devastated by natural disaster. The planet Zarian 7 had been struck by massive earthquakes, and its cities lay in ruins. Medical Team 7. "We have survivors in Sector 12, reported Dr. Minei Song over the communication system. Her team consisted of 2 humans, a Zephyrian and a Milani, working together to treat the wounded. Young-Ho smiled as he watched the rescue operation unfold. Human engineers worked alongside alien technicians to restore power to the damaged cities. Human doctors treated alien patients, while alien healers helped human wounded. The species that had once been enemies now worked as partners, united by a common purpose. The prophecy had been fulfilled, but not in the way anyone had expected. Earth had written a new destiny across the stars, not in the blood of conquest, but in the blood of sacrifice and protection. The children of the violent star had brought balance to the galaxy, not through destruction, but through the simple act of caring for others. Humanity had given the galaxy something it had never had. Before heroes who would fight not for glory or power, but for the simple right of all beings to live in peace.